that one or the one we've seen?
Hopefully they know what day it is.
We'll talk some Kawhi in a second, but first, college basketball is back. This is Temple and Drexel, and this is the Owls guard Quentin Rose.
Listen,
Nice.
I'm not sure who the white fellow from Drexel is that went up to try to block the shot, but I give him credit. He didn't try to take some dangerous charge where someone could have gotten injured. He went up and contested.
Stop it, man. Stop it. You don't get credit for getting dunked on.
Hey, man.
And being on our highlights. No.
Listen, you're never going to block a dunk if you don't get dunked on every once in a while.
Jared Allen does get dunked on quite a bit.
He does.
But he does block a few dunks, too.
Check and mate, Canty.
UNC Greensboro, North Carolina A&T. UNCG drawing up the perfect out-of-bounds play right here to get Isaiah Miller the alley-oop.
Listen, allowing the team to throw the alley-oop on you, there's no crime in that. But on the inbounds play, that's what I got a problem with. Ain't nobody going to box out? Nobody?
A great play drawn up by former North Carolina Tar Heel Wes Miller, who's now the head coach at UNC Greensboro. Only 1 second on the shot clock here. So, I mean, you don't got time for a lot. Toss it in, dunk it. That's a great inbounds play.
That means that the defense is even worse.
Heat Nuggets, Derek Jones Jr. It's way up for the one-handed alley-oop. Watch how high he goes. Woo!
Yeah, that's with ferocity. Nikola Jokic is like, I didn't know humans could jump like that. That's a great win.
Because he sure don't jump like that.
That's by the way, Nuggets with a dominating win over a Heat team that up until last night had been one of the surprises in the NBA so far this season.
Yeah, the Nuggets are going to be there in the Western Conference. It's the team that nobody's talking about, but they'll be right there.
Hawks and Spurs, your guy, Nick Trae Young, putting LaMarcus Aldridge in the blender before hitting up to DeAndre Dembry for the slam.
Kenny, you made the point that it's rare a trade works out for both teams. Luka traded for Trae. Obviously, as good as Trae is, Luka's the better player that was drafted in trade. But the Hawks got Cam Reddish now because of that trade. Wonder how it turns out. I'm glad Luka is breaking other people's ankles instead of his own after the scary ankle injury last week.
Yeah, that was a little bit scary, but he did have that triple-double against the Lakers. That was really impressive. Came out on the losing side.
For sure.
Let's talk some Kawhi Leonard now. The much-anticipated matchup of Kawhi and Giannis, Clippers and Bucks tonight. We'll have to wait. Kawhi will not play in this one. His official diagnosis, load management. They are managing his load less than 2 weeks into the season. This is the second game he'll miss in the Clippers' first 8 games for this reason. Nick, your thoughts?
I mean, I don't mean to make you guys laugh. I'm beside myself on this. Kawhi Leonard has a responsibility, not just to the Los Angeles Clippers, to the league, to its fans, and dare I say, to its television partners. Now, Fox and FS1 is not one of the television partners, okay? This is not self-serving by me. In fact, the network it's on tonight, I hope nobody watches it ever in life. But I'm sure people were looking forward to seeing Giannis and Kawhi. Kawhi Leonard is in year 9. He is 28 years old. We had a damn national emergency when LeBron James, in year 14, after 6 straight trips to the finals, took a couple games off due to load management because we said, no, people are there to see you play. And in that context, I understood it. The guy had played more basketball than anyone in the history of the league in that small of a sample. They were trying to, there were other elements involved. And by the way, for his team, seeding had proven never to matter for LeBron coming out of the East. None of that is the case right now with Kawhi and the Clippers. Seeding will matter. The first game he missed, they lost. Yeah, the Raptors missed 22 games of Kawhi last year. They were 17-5. That was a fully functional 1 seed before they got Kawhi Leonard, slotted him in for DeMar DeRozan, could win without him. Paul George is not there yet. And the national television part of this has to matter. The fact that ultimately all sports are make-believe. It's just a different entertainment option. I understand for the players and the teams, the championships are very real. But ultimately, the only reason Kawhi Leonard is more wealthy and more famous and more a sought-after endorser than the world's greatest ultimate Frisbee player is because people have put a value on watching basketball more than ultimate Frisbee. There's no moral relevancy to it. And for Kawhi to just be skipping nationally televised games, 2 of them, and we're 3 days past Halloween, is ridiculous. And you can say as long as the Clippers win the title, nobody, yeah, as long as they win the title. As you can't now, though, all of a sudden, you're the 4 seed when you could have been the 2 seed, and your second round matchup's harder than it needs to be, and you get bounced. We're going to go back to these days. And I don't want to be the old man yelling at the cloud, Canty, But I'm old enough to remember when guys in year 9 at 28 years old, when they're not coming off an injury, plan to play. The plan was, I'll play at least 75 games. Kawhi last year played 60. He was coming off an injury. Fine. He's not coming off an injury. He's now going to miss 2 of 8, and they're both on national TV. I hate it. I just hate it as a fan and as a consumer of the league.
So for the conversation's sake, let's assume everybody is healthy. Where would you put the Clippers in the Western Conference?
At top 3. I would put them top 3.
So they would be in the top 3. So, I mean, you're probably looking at them as being a team that could challenge to be in the Western Conference Finals.
Oh, absolutely. Listen, the Clippers, 100%. They could make, I don't pick them to make the NBA Finals, but assuming health, it wouldn't be shocking if they did.
Okay,
yes.
So that's what I'm looking at. With Kawhi Leonard's situation, I think that he understands that as long as he's healthy when his team gets to the postseason, as long as Paul George is healthy once they get to the postseason, there's a pretty good chance that they'll have a shot to be the team coming out of the Western Conference. Now, we saw last year when he was in the Eastern Conference, having the #1 seed did not matter for that team. They were able to overcome that and still get to the NBA Finals. So Kawhi is looking at this from the standpoint of, I know people will judge me based on championships. You talked about LeBron James and the criticism that he got for load management and sitting out the second night of back-to-backs. We talked about that and we criticized him, but ultimately, what we really are critical about LeBron James with is the number of championships, because he's only got 3. If you're going to compare him to being Jordan, Jordan's got 6. Yep. LeBron James, even though he's gone to 8 straight, they hold his record in the finals against him. So Kawhi understands that when you're the caliber of player he is, and when you're in a conversation for the greatest player on the planet, a big part of that is what your resume looks like in terms of winning titles. And I think that they prioritize that. And the biggest part about the regular season is it's a war of attrition. So making sure that I'm as healthy as I could possibly be once I get there, that has to be the priority.
Well, here's the thing, because you said something very important. When you're in the conversation for best player on the planet, a big part of that is winning titles. Yeah, 100%. I would argue the final part of it and the most important part of it is winning titles. But you get in that conversation by playing basketball, by showing up, by being available for your team. Kawhi Leonard last year played a career high minutes per game, 34. LeBron this year in year 17 is playing a career low, 35. Kawhi Leonard this year has played 6 games. Has played 6 of his team's 7 games. He's playing 30 minutes a night. So they're already load managing you within the game. And so to you, he is, maybe he does not care. Maybe this is just nerds like me that care about the lists and the rankings. But he is removing himself from the discussion that maybe should be rightfully his. He's the defending finals MVP, a best player in the world, when you don't play.
Well, his argument is obviously all my DNPs last year, who cares? I was in the finals, we won the title, all of it. Would you have less of an issue if, I know the issue of how many games he takes off is a big one for you, but what if it wasn't against the Bucks team? What if he picked a different game that wasn't a nationally televised game?
Yeah, pick tomorrow. Pick the other side. It's like, oh, he's not going to play back-to-backs. Well, there's the back, and then there's 2 back. Pick the one that's not against the Bucks. And if Paul George were healthy yet, Canty, I would have less of an issue.
Okay.
If Paul George were there, and it's like, hey, we came here together, we know we're both going to load manage throughout the year, Paul George ain't there yet. And the Clippers, right now, they're 5-2. With a loss today, they go to 5-3. It's obviously too early, but all the losses matter. Do we think that the Clippers are going to finish with the best record in the West by 7 games? These things are, no. And so I don't think the Clippers are built to go 17-5 without them the way the Raptors did either. And I think getting through the West without home court is harder. I don't like any of it. I just don't like any of it. 28 years old. Come on, man. Play.
Take a break. A guy who doesn't load manage.
How can the best player in the league be the only guy to load manage twice? How?
LeBron James.
How?
Will he average